organized means where by and large, the day-to-day operations are not decided upon by us, by let's say a single owner or one or two family members, right? I would like to distinguish it like that. So it does not mean, a public or a large 10 stores, 20 stores, 50 stores people. He can still remain, family owned, but the decision is still with one person or two people or five people. But for me, my definition of organized is that, while some strategy, etc., is set at the top level, a lot of decisions are actually done by people below, right? One example could be, say, take pricing as an example, right? Product pricing. There are still many companies which has the owner sitting and kind of pricing the products, right? Whereas in large companies, there is a goal, there is a set target kind of a thing, and then the team, which is typically the employees, they do the product pricing, right? That could be a very simple example between what I call as organized and not yet organized. I would like to say there are people who say professional and family run, but I don't think that's a better. This I would think is a much better definition according. The change in customer perspective is, been in the industry even for a little bit of time, maybe 3-5 years, right? The shift being so-called family shopping from a family jeweler to a what you can call as a brand, right? Once upon a time, maybe 5 years back, most people would shop for their jewelry in the family jeweler shop in their hometown, even more so, right? Now, I think that has shifted to the youngsters, especially two things. One is small ticket items are purchased without getting an approval from the family elders. Number two, even wedding jewelry is being bought in chain stores, right? And not small ticket items, large ticket items. Invest, train, motivate, incentivize, right? That is one portion. The second portion is obviously the merchandise. I think merchandise is too generic today that you don't really stand out in the market. Everybody has got more or less the same thing, right? So because of which you are a commodity and you're competing on price. The staff people whom I train, if all you're going to tell me is the gold rate and the making charge, my security guy will do a better job than correct, right? There is no reason for me to hire a salesperson, because all you're going to tell is the scrolling gold rate, which is also available, and the tag price which you have to scan, right? आपने और क्या बता सकते हो, right? And the security guy is much more stronger in security than you are. Correct. So I think that I will ultimately, like to say that the buck stops with the owner, right? If there's enough unemployment problem in our country that you'll get a staff at 12,000, 15,000 kind of a money. But I'm sorry, I say these very strong words, right? I'll say you get 2 hands, 2 legs, and 0 brains at 12, 15,000, right? But you seem to be okay with that.
Warm welcome to all our alumni who joined us for this wonderful session. Today we have with us a very eminent guest, Mr. Shivaram. Shivaram sir has been in the industry for more than 3 to 4 decades now. He has got rich experience of more than 3 decades at Tanishq and in 15 different roles. So probably the entire chain of production, retailing, all of it. And after this extensive experience that he's gathered, Shivaram sir started a Retail Gurukul in 2012. The experience after that has also included in last 13 years, consulting about 1,000 plus businesses in B2C retailing, manufacturing, wholesale, e-commerce, and for any size of businesses. And he has also tried to include all this experience of his in 6 books. He is author of 6 books. We will surely share with you the books also while we are in the session.
Thank you so much, Manisha. And thank you, Shivaram sir, for joining us today. Uh, like Manisha said, it's definitely a privilege for us for the multitude of experience that you bring to the table. The alumni who are going to be joining in today, uh, you know, most of them, I would assume, would have some sort of a retail uh, aspiration or would be full-fledged in it. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of insights that they can take away, hopefully after this session. Sir, there are a lot of questions that I want to ask you because I couldn't hold my excitement. And the first thing that I want to start by asking you is, by the way, Manisha, you mentioned 1,000+ brands. When I research Sir's profile, it's actually 5,000+ businesses, right? So,
Wow.
sir, with that, um, and these 5,000 businesses spread across India as well as across the world, uh, what do you think are the biggest changes that you've observed in the Indian jewelry retail market, particularly over the last 2 decades?
Okay, so thank you so much to all of you and all the alumni who have joined. Thanks again for inviting me. Coming straight to the point, I think about 2 decades back, organized means where the by and large the day-to-day operations are not decided upon by us, by let's say a single owner or one or two family members, right? I would like to distinguish it like that. So it does not mean um, a public or a large 10 stores, 20 stores, 50 stores people. He can still remain uh, you know family owned, but the decision is still with one person or two people or five people. But for me, my definition of organized is that while some strategy etc. is set at the top level, a lot of decisions are actually done by people below. Right. One example could be, um, say, take pricing as an example. Right. Product pricing. There are still many companies which has the owner sitting and kind of pricing the products. Right. Whereas in large companies, there is a goal, there is a set target kind of a thing, and then the team, which is typically the employees, they do the product pricing. Right, that could be a very simple example between what I call as organized and not yet organized. I would like to say there are people who say professional and family run, but I don't think that's a bet. This I would think is a much better definition according to.
Interesting. Sir, since you were talking about what has primarily changed in the last 2 decades, from the jewelry market perspective, and it helps to understand that it's gotten a lot more organized. I wanted to get your perspective on how has the consumer behavior, in your opinion, changed in the jewelry industry, and what are some of the key trends that retailers need to be focused on to sort of stay relevant?
Um, the change in customer perspective is, been in the industry even for a little bit of time, maybe 3-5 years, right? The shift being so-called family shopping from a family jeweler to a what you can call as a brand, right? Once upon a time, maybe 5 years back, um, most people would shop for their uh, jewelry in the family jeweler shop in their hometown, even more so, right? Now, I think that has shifted to uh, the youngsters, especially. Two things. One is small ticket items are purchased without getting an approval from the family elders. Number two, even wedding jewelry is being bought in chain stores, right? And not small ticket items, large ticket items. So when a wedding jewelry is being bought in a chain store, which is a serious shift from what used to happen, maybe 5, 7. I'm not saying everything has shifted. I'm not saying nothing has shifted. I'm saying you're looking for trends. This is the trend, right? So experience shopping is a very, very critical stuff. So those are the kind of changes, experiential shopping, customer service. So to some extent, I think in our industry, especially, a lot of it was dependent on trust. Why did this family jeweler thing happen? Oh, you know what? I trust the guy. I trust the guy. Today, I would probably say, trust is table stakes, right? And when I talk to my clients, I say on some of these basic items, I said, if you are a jeweler of any standing in the market, your showroom is air conditioned, right? That's hygiene, right? In the same manner, if you say that I am, let's say, HUID compliant, or you trust me, and say everybody makes that claim, right? So those are all very standard items that you cannot try and say that that's my USP, right? So things have moved beyond that and saying that, what's the experience you are giving me, what's the kind of uh, how are you treating me, right? Which is something we might say that that's actually much better in family run businesses, because there's a lot more attention to those kind of in scenarios. But still, that can be the differentiator. As family run jeweler can give a very personalized experience to individuals, which may not necessarily be the case with chain stores. So it's not saying that everything is wonderful and beautiful simply because you're organized. You can still be on family owned, single owner decision making stuff, but give great customer service, and you can still do the goals that you have set yourself up.
Interesting, sir. So, in this context where you see that the consumer buying pattern is sort of, again, there's a caveat over that this is not completely shifted over or moved over to corporates or regional chains or national chains, but that is certainly a trend that the industry is seeing, in your opinion. So, what happens to the role of a independent jeweler? In your opinion, what are some of the challenges that an Indian jewelry retailer faces today, and how would he sort of go about overcoming them, especially with the competition that he or she faces currently today? And just on that note, sir, I would want you to talk a little bit about a model that you sort of have, which is the red, yellow, green, and talk about how does one go about moving from red to green or yellow to green. If you could also explain the model a little bit, please.
So what was the first question? You asked too many questions, so you had to ask me one.
So the first question is, what are the common challenges that the jewelry retailer faces
Fine.
today?
So,
How do they overcome it?
So common challenges, I think, is across the industry, right? I don't think it is unique to a large store, large chain. We'll use it as chain stores versus independents. There's a simpler word for it, right? So I don't think there is any chain store today or any retailer in the jewelry market who says, yesterday I had my great walk-ins. As simple as that, right? So everybody across the industry is facing the challenge. The thing is how a retailer responds to those challenges. Okay, the easiest thing that I find, if you don't have a plan, and another example is between organized and not yet organized retailers, right? Is that organized retailers have a plan, right? It's not always easy to execute, right? But at least there is a method in the madness, right? Okay, I've got a plan for the next 6 months to 9 months. And whereas the unorganized people, right? Yesterday only evening, I was talking to a retailer and I said, okay, forget about 1 year. Let's at least make a three months plan. He says, no, 1 month, right? So the vision is so short-sighted, right? So when you are so short-sighted, right, then the typical response is, oh, you know what, gold rate has gone up, walk-ins have come down, let me reduce marketing expenditure. Okay, that's a very easy thing to do, which is also done by large retailers, right? No, it's not that large retailers are simply executing or spending money according to a marketing plan, irrespective of the market scenario. It's not like that. But the approach is very different, right? You can either shut down the marketing and say, nothing is going to happen. And you have heard of that great story, right? Somebody went to, one salesman was sent to Africa or something like that, and shoe salesman, right? You heard that? Not really. Shall I tell you? Very interesting.
Oh, please,
So,
sir, please.
right. So one salesman was sent to, let's assume, Africa long ago, and said, shoe salesman, you go and find out whether there's a market. So the guy came back and he said, there's no market because, nobody wears shoes. The second guy went and he said, no, there's 100% market because nobody wears shoes. Okay, right. So it's exactly the same. Market scenario is the same, but two salespeople looked at it from completely different point of view, right?
Yeah, different
So
mindset, right?
it's a mindset, right? And today, frankly, mindset shift is what I constantly try to make in, especially amongst the business. In fact, across everywhere. So the challenge is, if the bold rate is up and the walk-ins are down, what are you doing? Especially when the retail staff is idling within the showroom, right? So what marketing that you're doing? Are you just waiting for it? Customers is not coming. So that's really the point. The other thing which I think some of you may have seen, this is what I call my two dabbas, right? Nothing very special about it. They're just two dabbas. But what I keep saying is, there are three types of, let's say, consumers. Okay. Hold on. Right. Oops. Oh, you're showing the screen? Okay. Right. So there are three types of consumers, right? So there is a, and you can ask this, are you doing a quiz or something? You can ask, right? Says basically saying that what is the level of your business, red, yellow, or green? Yeah, poll. Okay. Chalo, let's see whether the poll will come. Have you posted a poll? Shiv, you're on mute.
How would you like to post us the poll, sir?
Anything they can just comment on the chat box, or if you have a ready-made poll, you can run a poll. I think this is an interesting point where we'll make them react. Right? That's another constant challenge when you do these, classes.
I'm
Right?
creating a poll. How would you like me to title it?
Just say what is the current level of your business, whatever their interpretation, red, yellow, green. They can even post it on the chat.
I'm putting a poll.
Yep. So I keep using this traffic signal as an example, right? Because it has a lot of meaning to derive from.
I would encourage everyone in the audience to,
Yeah, post
part in this poll and make sure that you submit whatever you think is your current level of your business.
Yellow.
Right. Generally, you getting yellows. Okay. Shiv, you have another slide down.
Yes.
Okay, just do that.
Manisha, could you move to that?
Okay, it's Manisha. Okay. So now this is the standard story that I ask. When you ask this red, yellow, green, the safest answer is yellow. Right. Right. Now, when I say that, okay, we are removing yellow, and then now you answer, right? Now you have to give me an answer, or you can. I hope the same poll can be used one more time, right? Unless Arjun, you can put a new poll.
I'll put a new poll.
Okay. Right. A majority said yellow, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now you remove the yellow part.
Just one second. 69% was yellow. Okay.
Yeah.
Stopping this.
Yeah. While he's putting the poll, you can post some questions also. And generally, what's the profile if we have got response?
Yeah, so we've got some comments there, sir. Vishal says he's a manufacturer. If you could suggest ways to go direct to consumer. There are a couple of anonymous attendees who've said retail, and one has specifically asked for tips for new businesses. Naman says he's an aspiring business owner in the industry.
Okay. Okay.
There's a question, anonymous question, which asks, what is denoted by each color? I think that's something that sir will elaborate once the new poll is made live. And
It's a traffic signal. I mean, you can just look at it from a traffic signal point of view and say, what is your business in red color, which means it's not doing well. If it's in green color, it is doing well. As simple as that. Then you are.
yeah, so that's next poll. Arjun
Yeah.
has made that live. Again, I would encourage everyone to take part, select one of the options. Now that one of them has been removed, the one that was majority in the previous poll has been removed. Green or red are the choices that you're left with.
Red.
Red?
Red.
Okay, fine, right? So maybe because of the gold rate, which has gone up in the last 2-3 weeks. Okay, so yeah, see the shift has happened, right? So I was saying, um, this is the point that very specifically highlights what I wanted to share, right? If somebody is shifting from yellow to red, right, it's time to think and saying that what was the reason? Why did you shift from yellow to red? Was it because, like I said, because yesterday's gold rate was high and my whether you are a manufacturer, suddenly some order was supposed to come and the retailer calls and says, nahi, nahi chahiye. Yeah, or you're a retailer and suddenly you're finding that yesterday the walk-ins dropped. So the point ultimately, what I keep saying and comes back to this red, yellow, green is there are 33% of your customers who are loyal to you. Whatever is your business, manufacturing, designing or retailing, right? 33% is mostly okay, like all of us, right? There's a majority of the people sitting cat on the wall. If I get a good deal, I will buy. If I get a good design, I will buy, etc. etc. And then there is a 33% of the people who are not going to buy. You think you have the best, uh, range, you have the best staff, you got the best service, yet consumers are not willing to buy. Parallel to that, I will also use the other dabba which I constantly use, right? Which is the inventory, right? We may be able to talk about it, right? But the point again is 33% of your inventory is dead. And what can you do about it? There's an yellow color, which is again okay, and then there's a green. So how can you bring and or reduce red in both the places? I think, like that. So just recollect this whenever you're in a traffic light signal. I think, you must keep remembering saying that, okay, what can I do to do my business, right? What is stuck in, because considering all the traffic in every city, right, we see a lot of reds
Easier to
anyway.
do. Yeah.
Anyway, we see a lot of red, right, including your local metros, right? So the question really is, what can we do to reduce the red? Whatever is your red in manufacturing, maybe it takes 2 months to produce a new product, right? Can I reduce something over there, right? It can be anything and everywhere, and use the concept of the weakest link. If the weakest link in your manufacturing is, let's say, acceptable designs, right? I know a lot of manufacturers who produce tons of designs, right? And now with I would think automation or CAD or what, earlier at least people had to sit and write, right? Now it's very easy to produce new designs, right? Now then it's very easy for the customer or your boss also to say, ye theek nahi hai, ye theek nahi hai, ye theek nahi hai, right? So what is right? So you have to, whether you're an individual, whether you're a company, whether you're a team leader, you have to look at what is that red color in your area of operations, right? And try and solve.
Very interesting, sir. Thank you so much. And that was an amazing exercise. I think it went exactly as I think you predicted, and I think this is how it
No, there is no
should
prediction here. This is 1,000 crores ka experience.
experience. Absolutely. Sir, there was also a question in the Q&A from Firoza, who said, "How do I begin an online business? Your tips would be most useful." I'm taking a cue from what Firoza writes, and I want to build on. You spoke about the changing consumer behavior. You spoke about how 2 decades ago the jewelry retail market was a little different from what it is today. And I want to ask you the specific question on the rise of digital platforms, and Do you see that there's a shift of consumer preference towards buying jewelry online, or do you still think brick and mortar still sort of dominates in jewelry retail space?
So, it all depends upon who you are, right? So if I can understand or if I can read what she seems to be saying, she's a new person in the business. So she wants to evaluate whether is online a worthwhile market. Then I will say yes. Because, at the 10, 20,000 rupee price points or anything less than 10, 15,000, what I call as, impulse buying, right? I think there is a market. But if the same question is coming from let's say a large retailer who is doing 500 crores or 1,000 crores, right? And you tell them that, we will do 50,000 rupees or 2.5 lakh rupees a day from online, for which you have to spend 2.5 lakh, right? He's never going to be, interested in that space, right? Mm-hmm. So it all depends upon your background and what do you want to do, right? So that's for me the initial checklist which you have to create, right? Am I a new person? I have limited resources, but I'm all for digital online, because the best thing that I can recollect, and I've been a big fan of the internet, right? And when internet started, I had heard that the big, Swiss Army knives, right? So once upon a time, Swiss Army knives in a country like India, which was very rare at that time, you would expect a Swiss Army knife to be sold in a 5-star shopping center, right? Inside a 5-star hotel, because most people who go there understand what is a Swiss Army. But it turned out it was from a chawl in Mumbai. Okay, right? And so the guy was asked, how come you're sitting in some chawl and you are the highest guy? So he says, see, I sell all over the country on the net. Okay. So if you are a physical retailer and technically your catchment area is 5 to 8 kilometers of your physical retail, right? Take this particular meeting itself, right? If it had to be in BKC in Bombay, in your office, right, maybe would have got 10 people or 15 people, because even if I'm on the other side of the BKC building, it takes me 45 minutes to come from 10th floor there to 10th floor of this building. Right? So suddenly you are able to reach across, I don't know, maybe at least India, if not somewhere else. So if you are looking at 3,000, 5,000, 8,000, 10,000 rupee products, and I can connect online, whether it's through aggregators, whether through aggregators is the correct starting point, actually, right? The way to go. What should it be? Simply because I'm just enlarging the concept, saying that just because I am a gemologist or a person interested in jewelry does not necessarily mean it should be gold or diamonds. Right? Look at it if you say I want to be a jewelry retailer, then the world opens up, right? You can argue saying that no, I'm super specialized, I will only do 1 carat and above. All that is possible, but there is a market for everything.
Very interesting, sir. And I think particularly Firoza would ask the question. I hope her question is answered. And I think you did also touch upon from a very theoretical perspective in terms of the shift that you see towards digital buying for jewelry. And I think there's a particular ticket size that you mentioned will work sort of great, particularly because it is indulgence, particularly because it is impulse buying. Interesting, sir. Sir, I want to ask you now on the difference that you see with organized versus not yet organized sort of businesses. I want to simplify this by saying, you spend years with Tanishq and also have consulted a lot of family-run jewelry businesses. What are some operational and strategic differences that you see between the two in how they operate? And additional question on that second parter is, what are some of the best practices that family-run businesses could adopt from so-called organized players?
So, strategically, I think the difference is their, like I said, right, their ambition levels. At some level, it's the ambition levels, right? Somebody was explaining, saying that the number of new stores being put up, right, is some 2,000 new stores is the plan, right? 2,000 new stores. I would assume majority of them are coming from uh, organized retail, right? So just the ambition of expansion is very huge in organized, what you can call as organized retail, chain stores, right? The independents in some times they take an inordinate amount of time to decide. It's not that the organized don't take, they also take their own time, but they've got plan A to plan Z, so that if 5 plans don't work in terms of opening new stores, right, there are 21 other plans which are working. In the case of in terms of just opening a new store, in the case of a family run retailer, okay, the next store has to be here, next to this shop, next to this, next to this, next to this, because their bandwidth is so much more limited. Let's say take Mumbai. Oh, you know what, I'm in whatever, right, Andheri, I want to go up to Ville Parla, or I want to go to Dahisar, whatever, that's it. So in Dahisar, I need to be here, I need to be here, I need to be here. So that kind of restricts their expansion kind of a plan. Nothing right, nothing wrong, or right or wrong, but it's just a question of your ambition, I would say. In terms of what is it that I still go back to this point of organized versus unorganized, rather than saying what can I learn from large to small. Right? Everybody has got their own pluses and minuses, but I think the biggest thing that I would like to, if I'm an independent retailer and I want to see what is it that I can learn from these guys, I think the biggest thing is, this is my hometown, right? And I have done X, Y, Z turnover in the last whatever years, right? Whereas a new brand from some other town is coming to my catchment and building a store which is 2 times my size and taking away whatever 20, 30, 40% of my business, right? And then I'm saying that, oh my God, why is this guy coming? What is it that they're doing? How can they compete? End of the day, if you really look at it, and I keep saying this, all of us buy from IIJ. So there is nothing great about your so-called product and product. Majority of them are mass market jewelry. But the difference really is, I think, in terms of, let's say, customer experience, in terms of transparency, in terms of simple thing like exchange, right? We all know that in India that, exchange is a important factor, both at the time of buying and actually post, there is a big market opportunity in old gold. Now, there are people who are saying, what, I'm only in Bangalore. I live in Bombay, right? I may have come from, my family may be in Bangalore. So what will I do in Bombay, right? So, whereas a chain store solves that problem straight away. So those are the things that the independent retailers have to find solutions for, right? The opposite thing is also true. Chain stores also can learn a lot about understanding local market nuances, right? I was just speaking with somebody else, right? We will never, I'll give you an example, right? I think it was a 250-gram Mangal Sutra. Okay. Oh. It is like this. It's the size of a hand, right? Somewhere in Maharashtra, right? Now, a 250-gram to I don't know, maybe even 400 or something. The 350-gram Mangal Sutra I had not seen, right? But he says it sells. Now, as a chain store, right, even with 250 showroom, it will never fit into my assortment plan to produce a 250-gram Mangal Sutra for 3 stores in Maharashtra. It's just not viable in the whole, scheme of things, because the effort required to make the 250-gram Mangal Sutra is the same thing as for me to make 25-gram Mangal Sutra and sell 1,000 pieces.
Yeah.
Right? Because we are always looking at volumes at the bigger size. But that nuance is something which is completely missing. So the local guy, from a chain store point of view, how can I capture the 250-gram Mangal Sutra opportunity? From a local point of view, how can I protect the 250-gram Mangal Sutra market, which is my USP, if you ask me, right? So everybody has opportunities to learn. That's the point I want to share, right? It's nothing like, oh, you know what, just because somebody put in 250 stores or 500 stores, they are the best in everything, and I blindly try to copy them. Not necessarily, right? As long as I am able to understand my consumer and service that consumer, I think we have a business to do.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, sir. I think you sort of, uh, uh, with your experience, again, I wouldn't use the word predicted. You clearly saw that question coming, because I wanted to ask that what could corporates or organized players learn from local? So thank you for elaborating on that. And these are great insights. Sir, I want to shift the gears a little bit and ask you everything to do with inventory. I believe every I've been researching a lot and looking at some of the content that you keep posting on your Instagram profile and your YouTube channel, and I see that there's a particular sort of fascination that you have for merchandising and particularly for inventory. And there's also a terminology that you've coined, and we'll get into that. But before that, um, I want to ask you just you spoke about this example, and it's so perfect, right? That 250-gram Mangal Sutra necklace, right? I want to ask you, as a jewelry retailer, uh, in a hypothetical scenario, assume I'm a jewelry retailer based out of Mumbai. How do I strike a balance between having a wide variety of stock and avoiding over investment in slow moving inventory?
So, like you correctly, mentioned, right? I am nowadays, many of them remember me by my favorite word. It's called golden furniture, right? Golden furniture is something which doesn't move in your shop, right? So again, I go back to this red, yellow, green, right? So the red is the stock that is not moved for whatever 9 months, 12 months, right? And you'll be surprised at the amount. And I'm told that there are some retailers there, right? I would I would even go to the extent of challenging them and saying that greater. I don't even know their names, right? Forget about where they are located, right? I will kind of challenge them and saying that your greater than 8 months old stock is 33.5% and above of your entire inventory. Okay, right? If you are sitting on 100 kg ka stock, 8 months and above is a minimum of 33%. Right? And at today's gold rate, it is 33 crores. Okay, and I'm sure nobody can say that 33 crores is small change, right? So I think that's the point, right? So rather than how should I say, how can I get this golden furniture working for me, right? I've seen people having 2 years old stock, 3 year old stocks, right? And I explained to them, you give it to me free and I'll justify the price. Free. You give me a stock for free and I'll tell you, I'll still make money for you, because that is the amount of what I call as opportunity loss, right? If it is a 3 year old stock or a 5 year old stock, and there are people sitting on 5 year old stocks, right? And if you just put the opportunity cost on each of that, suppose the jewelry was worth, let's say, 1 lakh rupees, 5 years, right? And you put opportunity cost of stock rotations, etc., over these 5 years, right? It is like 2.5 lakhs, right? It is 2.5 lakh rupees worth of cash flow. The only justification that I constantly hear again and again and again is that, like I said, oh, you know what, the gold value has gone up. If the gold value has gone up, then I have a standard answer. Then don't listen to all of us. Just do bullion trade. Right? That's what we were discussing also, right? Don't do anything else, right? Shut the store, sit in your bedroom, take your phone, call the bullion dealer, buy and sell. I think today you don't even have to call. On your mobile app, you can sell and buy on MCX, right? So that's the difference, right? Fundamentally, the attitude has to change. That if you are looking to be in a retail business, then it is a raw material. It may be a capital gains in some level at one shot, but beyond that, you have to look at it from a margin perspective. Retail margin.
Interesting. And thank you for that terminology that you used, which is golden furniture. And I want to delve a little deeper into that. So imagine again, I have a lot of golden furniture. I'm clear that I am not a bullion trader. I am in it for retail. I am in it for that stock turn. I am in it for the opportunity, the revenue that I can make from the stock turn opportunity. What strategies would you recommend for retailers like me to sort of turn my dead stock into revenue generating assets?
So, I would look at it at some level and saying that you have to market it, right? You have to market it across the entire ecosystem. It is not, unfortunately, dead stocks can't speak, just like dead men can't speak or whatever it is, right? Dead people don't speak, right? So, like that, dead stocks can't speak, right? So, unless and until there is a very concerted effort, and it's a huge effort, right? Because right from, the grandfather in the family who is ingrained saying that stock melt nahi karne ka hai, for example, right? Saying that are hum kabhi bhi nahi kiye hain, right? So like that, it can go on and on and on, right? So it's a marketing effort within the family. It's a marketing effort within the consumer. It's a marketing effort within the staff, right? So everybody, it's a teamwork, right? Otherwise, the golden furniture will continue to grow. And of course, there's one more thing about how do you buy. That buying process itself is a huge opportunity, which is really how we specialize and work around, right? Our core is really merchandising. Retail Gurukul and my consulting experience, at the heart of it is all the merchandising that we used to do in Tanishq long ago. So for me, without merchandising, there is no showroom. And one of the videos that I said, if there is no gold, there is no Akshay Titya, right? So in the same manner, right, without the right merchandise, and I go back and saying that if 66% is your conversion, you're losing 33%, right? And to get that 33% consumer or walk-ins into your showroom, you have spent a lot of time, effort, and money. And at some level, it's not that you don't have stock. An average retailer today at the smallest level is 30 to 50 kilos, right? To be considered a decent enough air-conditioned showroom, is at 20, 30 kilos. Forget about 100, 200 kilos ka stock, right? At 20, 30 kilos, I'll take 30 kilos as an example, right? At 30 kilos, at 10 kgs is 10 crores. And the consumer wants to buy 1 lakh rupees worth of jewelry. And you're sitting on 10 crores of golden furniture, right? And then you say, okay, and your staff is also very, I would say, either extra smart or naive or whatever, right? You ask them why the sale has not happened, they say, maal nahi hai. I say, maal nahi hai, 30 kilos, right? And usme 10 crore to aapka responsibility hai, right? The staff is there to do a job, right? And if you don't provide the right merchandise and you are sitting on golden furniture as a business owner, then, please, you are the person to take the responsibility. You have to take that responsibility.
Absolutely.
Tough words. It's very, very tough words, right?
Yes.
Nobody never told the boss that, boss, you're wrong. Have you tried telling that in the company?
I wouldn't dare answer that here, but thank you for putting me on spot. I want to circle back on some of the questions that we are getting in the chat. Anugrah mentioned a while back when we were talking about online space. You mentioned aggregator. Anugrah, I think wants you to clarify what does aggregator
The
mean.
Amazons of the world, Amazon, Flipkart, all this.
Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Anugrah. And Anugrah, then I think he delves a little bit deeper on what you were talking about right now in terms of merchandising, and he asked, what should an ideal ratio between entry-level products, core products, and top-of-the-line products be according to you?
Very difficult to answer because, entry level for one retailer is, let's say, top end for somebody else, right? You have this famous eternity bangles. I knew one of my clients, for her, eternity bangles is daily wear. Okay, I'm assuming for most of us, as I have our understanding, unless you are a 100 crore turnover business owner, eternity bangle, if it is daily wear, it's one thing. For most consumers, I'm assuming is not a daily wear. So it depends upon where you are how have you positioned your brand. So it's very difficult to say what's an entry level price point and I'll give you another example, two examples I can give you. Somebody I went one day from his, I want to meet a jeweler. So from his office drawer in his office space, he pulled out a jewelry and one single necklace was 1.5 crores, right? Now, is that top line? Is it bottom line? I don't know. Correct. So 1.5 crore, one necklace could be top line for him, right? But it is, if it is top line, then it is in the drawer, which means it is not top line, right? It should be on display.
True. Interesting. So, Anugrah, I think the answer to your question is that you'll have to
Figure it
decide, what is your positioning, what is it that you stand for, and I think that's something that you will have to do first. Sir, I want to ask you one more question on based on your consultancy role, where you consult businesses in non-jewelry retail. Like you spoke about apparel, you spoke about electronics. What are some of the insights or learnings that you think that you see those industries, those businesses in those industries doing that could be applied to jewelry retail?
I think the biggest thing about the non jewelry industry, especially chain stores, right, is their process orientation, right? Their ability to, because otherwise a 300 store, 500 store business can't really work, right? I did one work with somebody who does 450 stores in India alone, right? So their ability to to standardize processes, even if it is 70% working, right? And I'll take an example of assortment on display, right? If you go to these kind of apparel stores, chain stores, right? Every season they run on seasons, right? And you get a manual. Now it is probably digital, a manual this thick as to what product category should be kept where. So this is the space for t-shirts, this is the space for bottoms, this is the space for formal, this is the space for whatever, something. I haven't seen that level of assortment displays in our industry, even in the large chain stores, right? Today, okay, mota, you put this necklace here and earring there. But what is that should be on the display? What should not be on the display? What should be the hero product? Those things are not, right? You have a whole window, whole what I call back side of the store, and you got 75 or 80 necklaces, right? There is no hero product. Everything is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 100. So those are the kind of stuff which the fashion retail specifically has done very, very. That's one very, very good example which all of us can adopt.
So you mentioned there was another example that
you'll have to remind me. I forgot.
No worries. We'll get back to it. I'm sure there'll be a lot more questions which will prompt you to go back to another example. I want to again talk to you about another aspect that even in my role with GIA, I've heard a lot of retailers sort of worry about, which is investing in staff training. One of the biggest dilemmas for retailers, I hear, and I'm sure in your role you would also hear, is the risk of attrition once the training is done. What is your take on this? Do you see that this is a reality? Do you think this is something that jewelry retail owners have sort of built up that perception? And if this is a reality, then how do business owners navigate this?
So I go back to this Richard Branson, who said Virgin Airlines, right? He said, train your people that such a way that they like to stay, and treat them so well that they want to stay. Something to that effect, right? So the point is that if you don't train your staff, and this famous conversation with the finance guy saying that what happens if I train him and they leave? So the boss says, listen, what happens if you don't train and they stay? And I will simply say the red color is all over the place, right? Now you understood, right? You got golden furniture, you got non-conversion, all because you didn't train your staff enough, right? So if you have trained them well, and especially in these kind of very hyper competitive times, if you have trained them well, right? Then you should be closer to achieving your goals, right? Otherwise, for them, it's a morning arrival and evening departure, and they're just doing a job. And at the next 5,000 rupee jump, they will leave and go at the retail level. At the retail level.
Right. Thank you. I think that's a great quote that you added from Richard Branson, and also the fact that the scenario where you explained, and when you put that in perspective, I think that opens up a lot of the eyes that
End of the day, I will say, like I said, I think sometime back, I said, who needs whom more, right? Today, I think a good salesman will get a job, I will argue, in the next 1 hour. In the next 1 hour, if I'm a good salesman, I can leave this company now and go to your neighboring competitor and say, listen, I'm looking for a job. And if he's good, they would know he is good, right? And they will hire him. As simple as that, right? People at a slightly higher level, you and I have to maybe create a LinkedIn profile to get a new job. But a normal salesperson who is in that 30, 50,000, 75,000 rupee sales, income level, there is always jobs for salespeople. And at the end of the day, a missed opportunity, and I keep saying this again and again, right? A missed opportunity is gone forever. The customer who has come, who didn't get treated well, was not shown the right merchandise, it's very, very difficult to get her back. And we do a lot of work on that space, right? How can I clear intention to buy, money in her purse? She has spent 1.5 hours in your showroom, and then she gets up and goes. Then whatever amount of effort you are doing, telecalling, saying that, hey, I got this, I'll give you this, I'll give you that. Very, very slow level of recovery. Very, very. So all your retailers on the panel, or anybody, for example, can probably, check this out. Once the customer is out of the door, she's out of the door. At least, I would think, at least for the next 1 year. Unless the customer is so loyal that, theek hai, chalo ho gaya, and then I'll still come back. But chances are, in today's hyper competitive market, she will not come.
True. So I want to build a little bit on that. And you mentioned that a good salesperson could find a job within the next hour. I want to build on that and ask you, what does it take to be that good a salesperson? What are some of the most essential skills a jewelry sales professional must have to convert walk-ins to loyal customers?
So I think there are two portions. One is at what I would call it as at a personal level. Personal as in his person, the salesperson, right? A lot of people, even amongst the salespeople, are in a comfort zone, right? They have said, okay, mera life itna hi hai, right? So even though there are market and opportunities, etc., there is that yellow color crowd in the sales community which is settled down. There are very bad salespeople who are there, that are always there in every shop. But I think the guys who are doing well are the green guys, right? They have decided, boss, listen, I want to make so much money. I was just going through something. I was talking about vision and, how do you visualize, right? You must have heard of visualization, right? Techniques, art, law of attraction and all. So that guy knows that, listen, I want to take home 75,000 rupees or 1 lakh or whatever, right? So that hunger, to a large extent, is internal. It is not easy to push it from the top, especially if your whole showroom is full of yellow and red color people, right? Whatever you say, theek hai, my boss is telling, right? Malik bol raha hai, theek hai, right? I'm not excited about it. So first, from a staff perspective, are you the red, yellow, or the green? If you do the same yellow, red, yellow, green. If you are retailers, bosses, business owners, whatever, you do the same test: red, yellow, green, red, yellow, green, red, yellow, green. You decide what is your definition of red, yellow, green. Then you go back and say, listen, why have you written yellow? Why have you written red? What is in it for you? What is in it I can do for you? Right? Like the way we did for the business, you do it for an individual, right? These are very Simple ways to understand that guy. If I am keen on earning that 1 lakh rupee per month, then the guy is seriously interested in learning, improving himself, right? He is constantly, evaluating, checking, ये बोले तो क्या बोलेगा, ये नहीं बोले तो क्या नहीं बोलेगा, right? और ये बोल दिए तो कस्टमर को कैसा कैसा experience हो जाता है, right? All those stuff they are constantly experimenting. The other thing which unfortunately happens in our industry, and this particularly for owners which are here, is no salesman will consciously train his junior, right? And this is a countrywide problem, probably a worldwide problem, because at the end of the day, he says, if I were to give you away my secret sauce to the junior, right? What will be my, value? Correct? So it is really the business owner who has invested 100 crores in the business, for him to take on the thing saying that, I need more yellows and greens, if not all greens, right? Who are constantly of that particular level, wherein they want to earn more money, they want to do this. I am more than willing to help them train. In this entire process, if I'm losing 5% or 10%, that's part and parcel of the business, right? And I'll ask the same ulta question to them. Just because you are selecting the jewelry, are you saying that you have not generated golden furniture? Right? You, with all your great experience and intention and capability and expertise and all those criteria, adjectives, right? You are selecting jewelry. Why is it generating golden furniture? Right? So, so like that, these are all tough questions. These are all very, very difficult questions to answer. But the point I'm saying is, if the entire organizational team has got a good intention, saying that we'll together work to achieve goals, and there is money for the owner, there's money for the staff, there's money for the consumer, and hopefully money for all consultants like us, then I think there is
a So I loved every aspect that you spoke about. One, it's not just the hunger that the sales professional and the drive that he or she has. It's also, I believe, the accountability of the jewelry business owner to keep investing in the yellows and the greens to make sure that they outperform. And like you rightly said, there will be that odd golden furniture sort of uh, slip up that happens. If it happens with inventory, it's likely going to happen with the recruitment process as well. But it's important that you keep investing in the yellows and the greens, and as you do with inventory and marketing and all other aspects of your business.
I'll give you one last comment, right? People are willing to put so much money on marketing. Right? But they are not willing to invest money on their people. Right? You put money on marketing, you don't even know, and you can ask, and I'm sure there are many retailers, if at all they're there, right? You ask them, right? You're spending 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs at an individual retailer level, right? Can I ask you how many people came to the shop? No answer. Correct? If anybody is going to tell me there is an answer, I want to hear from. Okay. So if you're willing to spend 10 lakh rupees on marketing or 1 lakh rupee on marketing, right? Can you spend the 10,000 rupees on your staff? Correct. Right. I would assume that 10,000 is more productive than the 90,000 on the marketing that we all do.
Interesting, sir. Sir, I want to ask you questions from, we've spoken about challenges, we've spoken about how the market has sort of evolved, how the consumer has evolved. We heard you speak about how that journey has been in the Indian jewelry retail space. We spoke about the merchandising aspect, we spoke about staff training. I want to ask you a little more futuristic sort of point of view, and ask what's your opinion on not your opinion, but if you had to sort of create a 3-point list of strategies for jewelry retailers to sort of future proof their business, what would they be? And in today's VUCA world, is that really possible?
No, I think you can really look at it. At least you should look at it between a 6 to 12 months horizon, right? And summarizing whatever we have discussed, I think first is invest on the right people, right? Invest, train, motivate, incentivize, right? That is one portion. The second portion is obviously the merchandise. I think merchandise is too generic today that you don't really stand out in the market. Everybody has got more or less the same thing, right? So because of which you are a commodity and you're competing on price. And the third one is really marketing. And for the marketing thing, I have one more of my favorite stuff, which is if you've got 100 salespeople, how many people you have in marketing? The answer is invariably zero, right? They might have hired an agency and paid him 50,000 rupees, right? And he's generally putting in some posts, right? And you're spending 2 lakhs or 1.5 lakhs on that the post boosting or some Facebook marketing or something like that. But that's about it, right? So unless and until you build that entire, if we can use this example of the Apple ecosystem, right? How Apple is able to give you a 360-degree experience, whether it's hardware, whether it is software, whether it is streaming, right? Whether it's the phone, whether it's the tablet, whether it's the laptop or Mac Air, Mac laptop, whatever it is, right? So they're able to give you that. It is tough to, you know, you will lose out some set of people, right? The Android probably is a much bigger market, for example, right? But I would assume that many of our jewelers want to create that Apple ecosystem rather than the Android ecosystem. Today, most of us are in the Android ecosystem. Commodity space, everybody is competing with everybody else. Mine is cheaper than yours, kind of a thing, right? Apple doesn't say like that, right? So listen, this is the kind of price, this is the quality, and guys who are willing to both markets are there for both. As much as there's a market for the Apple system, there's probably an equivalent market for the Android system. It depends upon where you want to play.
Right. It's very clear. I think what businesses and business owners need to do is create that holistic plan and start off with at least a 6 to 12 month horizon in terms of what they want to do, how they want to position their products, and then based on that plan, invest in people, invest in merchandise, and in marketing. Great insight, sir. Uh, I generally have this question. Generally, most of our panelists are gemologists, jewelry designers. So there's generally a question that I ask at the end of my line of questions, which is, what is your favorite gemstone? I'm still going to ask you that. You may not be a gemologist, but you're so deeply connected with the gem and jewelry industry that I can't hold back from asking you,
So
what
I'll
is.
ask. I'll give you a different kind of an answer. Most people, I would assume, they'll give you some stone or the other. I will say the one which gives me most money.
Yeah. I'm sure there are many gemologists in here in the audience. We're like, yeah, wish every stone is like that.
No,
Uh,
I think the fun part apart, I think the question is all of us are in the business of making money, right? And the same stone, right? How well you are able to create a jewelry out of it, how well you are able to offer that experience, how well you are able to treat that customer, how well you are able to explain to the consumer what this stone is all about, right? I think all of it is what determines the ultimate buy price. If all we are going to say is, this is emerald and this is 1 carat and this is the price, right? And sometimes I tell my staff and training teams, staff people whom I train, if all you're going to tell me is the gold rate and the making charge, my security guy will do a better job than you. Correct, right? There is no reason for me to hire a salesperson because all you are going to tell is the scrolling gold rate, which is also available, and the tag price which you have to scan, right? आपने और क्या बता सकते हो, right? And the security guy is much more stronger in security than you are. Correct. So I think that is I will ultimately, like to say that the buck stops with the owner, right? आपका पैसा है, right? And वो आपका staff का काम है, right? आप डिसाइड कर लो, आपका 100 करोड़ रुपये इंपॉर्टेंट है, right? या मेरे स्टाफ के लिए सस्ते में सस्ता स्टाफ मिल गया तो मेरा काम हो जाए, right? If you there's enough unemployment problem in our country that you'll get a staff at 12,000, 15,000 kind of a money. But I'm sorry, I say these very strong words, right? I'll say you get 2 hands, 2 legs, and 0 brains at 12, 15,000, right? But you seem to be okay with that, and you have got 100 crore rupee, business on which you have invested, right? 100 crore rupees is not small money for anybody today.
True. Oof, power-packed words. I'm sure it will take most of us some time to digest it. But
And then write down some 5 or 6, topics which comes to their mind. Take one idea, right, and implement it. Even if it is 1% better than today, I think that's the rate, right? 1% of 5 ideas is good enough.
That's actually a very good exercise to figure out what is my understanding and how is it helping me, to do the business better. Thank you so much for that tip.
even as you have sort of talked about so many aspects of a jewelry retail business, bringing insights from different other industries to the jewelry retail business. We've talked about merchandising, the opportunity lost cost, and the fact that how much important it is for the jewelry retail business owner to think about staff training and all these aspects. Even when we have discussed all of this, there still is that little exercise that you gave at the end of this, which could ultimately help many of them put all that has been shared into practice. And I think that's particularly important. Uh, I believe you mentioned this somewhere that uh, it's important to learn. It's important to know where you stand with the green, red, yellow. बट इट्स ऑल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट टू नो कि भाई ये सेशन मेरे लिए इम्पोर्टेंट था, तो इसमें से मैं क्या टेक अवे करके इम्प्लीमेंट करूंगा. आई थिंक दैट्स की. एंड आई थिंक थैंक यू फॉर एंड आई वांट टू थैंक यू फॉर giving us these actionable insights. I think that is the takeaway that most of our alumni who are listening in today will be thinking. Thank you so much for your time. It's absolutely been a privilege talking to you, getting to pick your brain on all these numerous topics that are challenges, that are opportunities, uh, and truly, thank you for your time, sir.
Anytime anybody wants to reach out, they can reach out. Social
Absolutely.